We have removed the requirement that open and concealed carry cannot occur anywhere in the city. We have amended the public places component of the public health order. That is amended to be focused now, no open or concealed carry in public parks or playgrounds.
So in this video, we're going to be talking about how the New Mexico governor is at it once again, even after a court just issued a restraining order against her unconstitutional carry ban. But before we dive deeper into all the madness that's going on in New Mexico, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, which is Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee has amazing coffee and they are huge Second Amendment supporters. You can get dedicated roasts for organizations like the Firearms Policy Coalition and Gun Owners of America. And if you purchase those roasts, some of the proceeds go directly to those organizations so they can file lawsuits like the one in New Mexico. So again, amazing coffee, huge Second Amendment supporters. You can find some of their products linked down below in the description section, the comment section. And if you use the code ARMSCHOLAR, you can get 10% off of your order. So as I mentioned in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about how the governor of New Mexico has gone completely tyrannical once again and is still trying to attack the right to carry. If you're not aware, last week, the governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham, came out during a press conference and announced that she is issuing a new public health executive order. Through the original order, the governor was attempting to suspend the right to carry both open and concealed for 30 days within the city of Albuquerque and then also a surrounding county. The governor claimed that there was a statewide public health emergency, which was tied to gun violence and then also drug abuse. Therefore, her office is currently asserting the unilateral power to suspend constitutional rights and impose what is essentially martial law within specific areas of the state, which essentially she argues meets a criteria that she set out in the order. The two criteria included vague statistics about violence rates, and that if they're met in those areas, then those areas will essentially be off limits for carry. Of course, this overreach by the governor received significant pushback, even within her own political party and her own administration. Her own attorney general for New Mexico came out and said that his office and him himself, he would not be able to legally defend what the governor is doing in her order. In his recent letter to the governor, the attorney general stated that, "I'm writing to inform you that my office will not defend your administration in the above referenced cases, challenging the public health emergency order imposing temporary firearms restrictions. Though I recognize my statutory obligation as New Mexico's chief legal officer to defend state officials when they are sued in their official capacity, my duty to uphold and defend the constitutional rights of every citizen takes precedence. Simply put, I do not believe that the emergency order will have any meaningful impact on public safety, but more importantly, I do not believe it passes constitutional muster." The Attorney General also came out prior to the court hearings that took place and stated that he would not defend what the governor is doing and that he did not believe that this would pass any court scrutiny and that ultimately it would be struck down as unconstitutional, especially under the Supreme Court's recent decision in Bruin. Now, to be clear, the Attorney General of New Mexico is not pro-gun, but even he sees how absurd this order is and how it clearly is a violation of the Second Amendment. You also had the sheriff of the surrounding county come out and say that he would not enforce this order because it's so unconstitutional. Again, not a pro to a sheriff. He was actually funded by various anti-gun organizations, but even he understood how overbearing this order is, how unconstitutional this order is, and he said he would not enforce it. Funny enough, however, the governor responded to the sheriff and said that she did not need a lecture on the Constitution and constitutional rights from the sheriff. Instead, she just wanted action. And all this came to a head last week with multiple lawsuits being heard in a New Mexico federal district court. And soon after the order came out, of course, you had NAGR, GOA, SAF, and FBC file lawsuits against the state of New Mexico and the governor. All of them were seeking some form of a TRO, a temporary restraining order, to immediately stop what the governor was trying to do with this carry ban within the city and county. In my last video, I told you guys that the judge in all those cases did in fact grant a TRO. A TRO was granted to multiple organizations, and in multiple of those cases, the TRO essentially enjoins the enforcement of sections 1 and 4 of her original order until October 3rd, when a hearing on a motion for preliminary injunction is supposed to take place. So there is currently a restraining order in place against the governor's original order. Now, in response to her losing in the courtroom and the restraining order being issued against her in that original order, the governor decided to double down on her unconstitutional efforts. Instead of revoking her order and taking the loss, she has decided to amend her order and update her order in her own words and put in place something different. The new public health order removed the requirement that open and concealed carry is banned within the city and the entire county. This was done in direct response to what was issued in the TRO. The governor said in response to the TRO that she believes that the court should not have issued the TRO, that it's incorrect because the Supreme Court's Bruen decision should not apply in this specific situation. She argued during the press conference that her order puts in place a suspension on concealed and open carry, but it's not a ban. She argues that a suspension is different from an outright ban and therefore Bruen should not apply. But really, this is just her playing some weak semantics games. It's just really a weak semantic argument because clearly Bruen did address what she's trying to do here. Her attorney tried a similar argument during the hearing, saying that the order is not a law. It's not a law per se, since it's essentially just an executive order. So they tried to draw this distinction between executive order and a law, and how maybe something like Bruen would not impact an executive order or this type of public health emergency, which they are claiming. Therefore, they believe that the Second Amendment is not implicated at all, and also the Bruen decision does not touch on this issue. The biggest issue the governor is running into is the fact that the Supreme Court in Bruen directly rejected this type of state action. In Bruen, Justice Thomas said, and I quote, "Respondents' attempt to characterize New York's proper cause requirement as a sensitive place law lacks merit because there is no historical basis for New York to effectively declare the island of Manhattan a sensitive place, simply because it is crowded and protected generally by the New York City Police Department." What Thomas said in Bruen is that the state of New York could not declare an entire city a sensitive location, and as a result, ban concealed carry completely at that location. The court said that that type of restriction, a complete city ban on concealed carry, has no historical precedent. Well, that's exactly what the state of New Mexico is doing. That's exactly what the governor is trying to do with a complete concealed and open carry ban in an entire city. There is no historical precedent for that, and that's why she's having a lot of issues. In response to the TRO, the governor decided to amend the order to now ban carry at public parks and also playgrounds. She claims these are high-risk areas where there needs to be some sort of protection. What she's trying to do is put in place a more traditional, sensitive location restriction that has already been kind of put in place with states like New York, New Jersey, and California, and how they pass these comprehensive laws in direct response to Bruen. She thinks that the court will be more likely to uphold this type of order if it targets only specific so-called sensitive locations. What the governor likely did is she looked at the New York Antonyuk case, which was a GOA case challenging the Concealed Carry Improvement Act in New York, and then also the New Jersey Coons case, which again was a challenge to the state of New Jersey's law that they passed in response to Bruen. What they likely did is looked at those two cases and saw which parts of those state laws were upheld despite the Bruen decision. In those cases, both of the courts found that there may be some sort of historical evidence that permits a state to ban carry at places like public parks and playgrounds, and therefore those courts in New Jersey and in New York did not enjoin or grant a TRO or preliminary injunction at that stage. What the governor is essentially reaching for here is some sort of win. She looked at those cases, saw what areas, what sensitive locations were potentially permitted for them to ban carry, and that's what she's going to target with this new order. So really, this is just a desperation move by the governor. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of attempt by her to argue that the prior cases are now moot and that the TRO is moot. In the press conference, it sounded like the governor was going to play this out, at least go to the October 3rd preliminary injunction hearing and kind of see what the judge says at that hearing. So we'll see what goes on going forward. I wouldn't be surprised if she adds some sort of other sensitive locations onto the playgrounds and the parks, tried to target other so-called sensitive locations. But if we get any more information on that, I will let you guys know. Also, if you like this video and you would like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. As always, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could ever do on my own. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.